Hello, this is Foog, and welcome to another video. This is going to be probably the first video on this channel, and the first video in this series. We're playing Vintage Story. And if you don't know what Vintage Story is, it's a game that's kind of like Minecraft. It's in development right now, active development. And it's kind of like Minecraft. It has, the blocky style, but it's more focused on like hardcore survival and sort of realistic survival mechanics. And there's this very intricate system of crafting things using this voxel-based thing. You'll see when we get to the game. It's pretty interesting, pretty complicated, and actually this is a pretty difficult game. So I'm right here on the world creation. We're gonna call this Foog 1. And we're going to customize the world. Now this is a lot of options. The worlds in this game is very customizable. There's a lot of things that you can change about the world, including the weather and the hunger rate, health regen. So I'm going to go through these settings and create a world that I would like. First of all, I've been playing this game, so I have a seed that I want already. I know a seed that would plot me in a nice world with some good starting areas. It's going to give me a good start to the game. Now, I'm going to go through this and kind of explain my reasoning for picking these settings, because it's going to make some parts of the game a little easier and some parts of the game a little harder. But if you'd like to just get into the game, I'll try to remember to put a timestamp over here somewhere so you can skip this part and get right into the gameplay. So first thing I'm going to do is change this grace timer so that it takes 5 days for monsters to start spawning, because if they start spawning on the first night, that's going to be very difficult to deal with. I'm going to make it 12 days per month just to give me a little more time in between seasons to get things ready. But I will keep true winters enabled, which means that cold temperatures are going to damage crops, animals are going to spawn less, they're going to give me less meat. So winter time is going to be a challenge. That's one of the features of this game, that it has realistic seasons and temperature changes. And before winter comes, I'm going to have to prepare a bunch of food and get clothes and stuff like that. So I'm going to enable cave-ins, which are disabled by default. And that's going to make the caving experience a little bit more difficult. I'm going to keep creatures on aggressive, because this actually adds a lot of tension to the game whenever there's bears or moose around, or wolves. This adds a lot of tension because they will just straight up attack you. But I am going to turn their strength, I'll keep their strength on normal, but I'll turn my HP up a little bit. We're going to make the hunger rate 75% and the health regen 125%, just to make the early game a little bit easier. Food will spoil at the normal rate. All of this can be the same. Pro pick node search radius. The prospecting pick is going to be an interesting mechanic, prospecting in this game. It's very difficult. I've actually been reading up on the prospecting mechanic of this game, because it is like a massive learning curve. Pretty much all the mechanics in this game have a big learning curve to them. So this is one of them, and it actually takes a lot. I've had to do some research to figure out how to use this, but we're not going to change any of the settings for the prospecting. Color accurate world map, yes please. I'd like to have the color accurate world map so that I can see what the biomes are. And we're going to reduce the frequency of temporal storms every 20 to 30 days. That's going to give me at least a couple months in between temporal storms, which is going to help a lot. And we'll keep them at the normal strength. We're going to allow infinite gear respawn uses. I haven't encountered this mechanic, but apparently there's something you can use to change your respawn point. And I'm just going to set that to infinite so we can do that as many times as we want. I'm going to turn it 90% land cover with 75% land cover scale. That's going to give us some oceans. Otherwise, it would be pretty much all land. But 10% of the world is going to be ocean. And I don't really know what the land cover scale does exactly, but I think setting this lower will make the oceans bigger. So I have it on 75%, just so we have some actual large oceans to maybe cross at some point. And I'm actually going to turn this geologic upheaval rate down to 20%, just so we don't get so many cliffs all over the place. because the world will generate with lots and lots of cliffs. Okay, surface copper deposit frequency is set to rare by default. I'm gonna set it to uncommon. Again, this is something that's just gonna make the early game a lot easier. So the first metal that we need to gather is copper. But I'm gonna keep the tin deposit frequency the same. This doesn't actually affect how much copper spawns in the world or how much tin spawns in the world. It affects how much of it comes up to the surface in bits that you can pick up rather than mining. And it's going to take a long time for us to actually get the first pickaxe to be able to mine any metals out of the ground. So all of the metals we get at first are going to be these bits that come up to the surface. And this setting changes that. So I'm going to set it to uncommon just so that it's a little bit easier. There's another mechanic we can use to get copper bits as well. And that's about it. That's all my settings. All right, let's apply that. I'm going to call it Foog 1. Actually, you know what? Let's call it Foogopolis. Foogopolis Townville. There we go. Foogopolis Townville. All right. Let's get into it. Okay, now we're in the character creator. And I'm just gonna very quickly create my usual character that I do every time. All right, that's me. I'm gonna confirm skin, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick the hunter, my class. Is again is gonna make the early game a little bit easier. First of all, we have this voyeur trait, which allows us to make a crude bow, an early game bow. All of the other classes, they don't get a bow in the early game, but I get to have a bow in the early game as a hunter. It's going to make me a little faster than the animals, and it's going to make it a little bit easier to get food and resources from the animals as well. So hunting is going to be a viable strategy. All right, here I am in the world. This appears to be the same world that I was in before, and I know this area pretty well because I've been playing in this seed. Spawned on top of this clay here. I actually don't know if all of the stuff spawns in the same like way that it does. Like I don't know if like the clay spawns in different places, even though it's the same seed. But it looks like we spawned right on top of this clay here. What kind of clay is this? It's fire clay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is open my map and mark down this fire clay, because this is gonna be very, very important for me to know where this is. Now we gather some flint and rocks. Flint is a little more important because it's what I'm gonna actually use to make the tools. My first tools are gonna be made out of flint. Now some of these rocks aren't flint. You can see at the top it says claystone stones, but these ones that have a little bit of a black rock with them, or a little bit of a darker rock here, that's flint. So I want to get flint. Now that I have 3 pieces of flint, I can go ahead and start napping this flint into a tool. So all we do is press shift, hold shift, right click on the ground, and now this menu comes up where I can select some different tool heads. I'm going to select a knife first thing, and it shows us this grid. Now this is the crafting mechanic of the game. Probably the first one that you're going to interact with, because you need to do this to make any kind of tool. Now I have a knife head, a knife blade in my inventory, and I need a stick to turn it into a knife. So the next thing I need to do is go find some branches. Here's some branches, and there's a stick. So now I can make this knife, and that is my first tool. The knife will break the branches a little faster. Didn't get any more sticks from that. There's plenty of bushes all over the place. Now most of these branches, you see it says at the top, birch leaves, but then sometimes it'll say birch branchy leaves, and these branchy leaves are the ones that actually drop sticks. The other ones don't drop anything. They might drop a seed. I don't really need to gather these rocks unless they're flint, so I might actually just go ahead and leave these behind for now. They're all over the place, and I can dig them out of the ground later when I get a pickaxe. But I will take more flint, because that's what I'm going to use to make my tools. Okay. So I'm gonna walk around, I'm gonna gather some more sticks, and I'm gonna explore the area a little bit. Okay, now I have some sticks. Here's a trader. We'll get to interact with traders later on, but I will go ahead and mark this one on my map. And we'll find out what their name is. Your name is Rustlin. Okay. Rustlin. There we go. Now I can come visit this trader again later. Right now, I don't have any money. Okay, here's some berries. Berries are pretty much the first early game food. This bush doesn't have any, but they're going to be instrumental to allowing me to eat while I'm doing this early game stuff. So the next thing I need really is reeds or cattails. And I think this is an ocean biome over here. So I don't think reeds and cattails are going to spawn over there, but let's take a look at the map and see if I can find a place that would spawn cattails. I think this lake doesn't have any. There's going to be some to the northwest, maybe even in this little lake or over here. Oh, by the way, let me change my settings really quick. Where is it? Lock info overlay. Immersive mouse mode. Right, immersive mouse mode lets you control your camera while menus and inventories are open. This is what I'm using right now. But I think it's actually causing something weird to happen with OBS, where things like jitter, whenever my mouse is detached, you have to hold Alt to move the mouse cursor. So I'm going to turn that off. It's going to be a slightly different inventory. The inventory is going to be in the middle, and you see like my mouse is automatically freed, and I can still move my character, but I can't move the camera while the inventory is open. With immersive mouse mode, the inventory, I can't move it either. It's just stuck there. But the inventory would show up over here, and then when I open chests and things, they show up, the menu for the chest or the flint napping or whatever it is opens up on top of the item. So it's kind of immersive. It looks pretty cool. I like it, but I think it causes some jitters with OBS, so we're not going to be using that. Just going to make sure that I have plenty of sticks on my way to the areas where I think there might be some reeds. And I'm just going to make my way over there. I should try not to sprint too much in the beginning, at least until, well, at least until I have some more food. Let me put my food in my hotbar. And you'll notice that I actually don't have an inventory at the moment. I do have my 3x3 crafting grid, which is default. You don't need a crafting table of any kind, as far as I know. I mean, there's the anvil, which is kind of like a crafting table, but it works very differently. You automatically have the 3x3 crafting grid from the get-go, just in your inventory. But I don't have any inventory slots. All I have right now is my hotbar. So that's why I need the reeds. My next goal is to increase my inventory a little bit. Chickens. Now I could gather these bushes and plant them where I'm eventually going to have my base, but it takes them a really, really long time to grow. See, will flower in 8 days, weather permitting, is what it says at the top there. And this one is flowering already, but it takes 8 further days to ripen and produce berries. So it takes, 16, or what is it? Yeah, 16 in-game days for berry bushes to grow. So I'm just going to leave them there, and if I need berries, I'll come back and find bushes that have berries already on them. We will do some farming, but at the moment, for the most part, we're just going to leave these things out here to grow. Here's some rye. We've got mature rye, just a couple of them. And the rest I will leave to grow and mark down on my map. Now, eventually, this map is going to be filled to the brim with all kinds of indicators of all kinds of resources all over the place. And it's going to be very easy for me to walk around and get a little bit of extra food or resources. But basically, as I go around, if I find any important resources, I just mark them down. I got some seeds from that rye, and I got some rye grain. Now, food does spoil. Some of the food spoils faster than other food. Ooh, here's some ruins. Ruins can sometimes contain broken vessels or cracked vessels, which you can break to get certain resources out of them. It doesn't look like this one has anything. There might be more ruins nearby. Let's check the map and see if we see anything. You can see the ruins pretty clearly. I'll go ahead and mark those on my map too. It's maybe something over here, but that's more likely just some flowers. This looks like it could be a ruin. It's up on this hilltop over here, which is kind of not the direction I was hoping to go. So we're going to avoid that and start going this way. So yeah, some food will definitely spoil faster than other foods, and there's ways to prepare it as well. Ooh, here's some peat. You can see this patch of peat on the map almost. It's this slightly discolored patch here. And I'm just going to mark this down because peat is burnable. I can dig this out of the ground and use it as a fuel, and it's a very abundant fuel. Problem with peat is that it can't be turned into charcoal, and it has a lowish burning temperature. It burns hotter than wood, but it doesn't burn as hot as charcoal or coal. And you need those really, really hot temperatures to smelt any kind of metal. But peat is good for cooking food and, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, already you can tell from how I'm talking about this stuff that there's a lot of complicated mechanics going on. And this is my fifth world playing this game, because I've taken some time to sort of get used to what's, the mechanics, what's going on in this game. And I've done the early game, 4 times already. I've gotten up to the Copper Age and gotten to the prospecting pick, and that's as far as I've gotten. But I just wanted to sort of get used to the game because it does have a learning curve, and I sort of got into a death spiral my first couple playthroughs because I didn't know really what to do. Even with the really, really good tutorial that comes with this game. Yeah, even with the tutorial that comes with this game, I mean, it taught me how to make tools and how to flint knap, but then it set me on my way. Okay. Now I'm still looking for reeds. It looks like, what time is it? We can check the character menu here and see the time. I also have a mod that puts it up in the top left. So it's about 2:30. We still got plenty of daylight left in this first day. Ooh, look at these clouds. Now that looks like a legitimate storm. This game does have realistic weather, so this storm is going to move. It looks like it's moving that way, so it's not coming toward us. Maybe it is a little bit. You hear the wind pick up. All the stuff starts jiggling. Yeah, the weather in this game is very, very immersive. So this dark cloud over here, and probably this big dark cloud here, it's probably raining over there. And if I were to walk in that direction, it would start raining a little bit, and then it would start raining more, and then I would be under the storm, and it would be raining a lot. So it's very realistic weather, and you can actually see it happening in the sky too, which is very cool, very impressive. Once again, I'm looking for reeds here. I'm moving west. Looks like there's a trader, another trader up here. This one actually looks like it has some stuff next to it. We'll mark that. But this is a waterfall. This is a little water pool. I'm trying to get over to sort of this area, get past this sort of hill over here into what I know is past this direction. This is going to be the area that I settle in. Some more ruins there. I'm going to be settling off to the west over here because I know a really good location. Now I'm going to try to pick a spot to settle the same spot that I settled in last time I played on this seed. But the things that I'm looking for when I want to settle down in a place are calm or, not very bad rift activity. You can see in the top left, it says current rift activity calm. So this could be a good spot. But basically, if the rift activity is too high, then that little blue gear that's on top of my hotbar is going to start rotating counterclockwise and draining down. And when it drains all the way down, I go insane and big monsters start spawning. And we don't want that to happen. So we want our home to be somewhere where I'm not going to go slowly insane. Yeah, I'm still just looking for reeds at this point. All I have right now is a knife, some sticks, some berries, and rye. Here's some more clay. This is blue clay. I don't really know what the difference between the different clay types is, but apparently there is a difference. One of them burns at a different temperature, I think. Ooh, brown coal bits. How much of this is? Yeah. Okay. Haha. That's awesome, actually. We'll do the brown coal. See that there's bits there. Yeah, brown coal bits. This is good because is uh, coal burns hot enough to smelt copper, so it's going to be very important. I could just make charcoal, but charcoal making is a whole process. I probably will make charcoal just to show you guys what that's like. It's not that difficult. It just takes a lot of firewood. Oh, here we go. Reeds. All right. So I collect these with my knife to keep the roots intact, and now I have a cattail. But I will take the roots. This will allow me to replant them in the place where I'm going to settle. There we go. Now, if I were to harvest this without a knife, the whole plant would disappear without dropping the root. It would drop the reeds for me, but it wouldn't drop the root. So I've got to harvest this with a knife. This isn't really a nut. Well, there's more over there. Okay. What I need to start with is, well, 40 of these, but really to start with just 10. And from there I can make a basket, hand basket. Okay, now that I have 10, make this shape, this U shape with 2 cattails in each slot. Doesn't work with just 1 cattail, you can see. And it makes a hand basket, which gives me 3 storage slots, and I can put it in this basket slot here. Now I have 4 of these slots, so I'm only going to get 12 inventory from this. That's actually going to be plenty for the early game. Reeds are super important for the early game. I want to get as many of these as I can and just take all of these out of this pond so that I can relocate them to my home. And it looks like the sun is already going down, which means I should probably work on getting a fire going. But I will need to chop down a tree before I can make a fire. And before I can chop down a tree, I'm going to have to make a flint axe. And I'm going to have to find a tree. There's a tree over there. Okay, there's some trees nearby. Keep gathering flint. Oh no, there's wolves. There's wolves. Wolves in this game, like the animals in this game, are deadly. Especially in my current state, without even a torch. Absolutely deadly. So I want to avoid those guys as much as I can. We're just going to go over here and really quickly make an axe and chop down some wood. Now I say quick, but chopping wood actually takes a pretty long time with this flint axe. There's my axe head. Boom. Okay. And you make the axe the same way you make the knife. Oh, there's a trader here too. You can kind of see them on the map. I don't really have to mark them, but marking them does make it a little bit easier. So now I chop tree. Now, this is going to take a really long time, and I'll show this full clip so that you guys can have an idea of how long it takes to chop down a tree. But the good thing is you only need to chop down the bottom block and the rest of the tree will fall. So you get the whole tree. Ooh, look at those particles. It looks like the storm is kind of coming my way a little bit. So I might want to make my fire underneath something. So let's go ahead and make some firewood. I'm going to combine my berries. They're at different stages of spoiling. Apparently. Doesn't look like it, but sometimes they don't make a full stack. Sometimes they separate the stacks if they're at different stages of spoiling. It makes a lot of sense. We're going to toss this dry grass for now so that I can pick up this dirt. I'm sure you guys can't even see anything. It's so dark. I can barely see anything. It is getting dark. It's already 7 p.m. So I'm just going to create a little sort of area next to this hill. Now I will pick up the dry grass again. Maybe gather a little more just for good measure. And I can shift, right click with the dry grass on the ground, shift right click with the firewood. Now I need to make a fire starter using 2 sticks and a piece of dry grass. The inventory management is kind of a thing in the early game. I can use this fire starter to start the fire. I could take a couple tries here. It's taking a little bit longer than usual. Come on now. Give me fire. There we go. Yeah. I can place the fire starter on the ground right next to the fire. Plop the rest of my firewood in there for good measure. And I'm going to make a torch. I need 1 more dry grass to make a torch. There we go. Now I can make a torch with 1 stick with 2 dry grass on top. Here's my torch. I can light it on the fire here. There we go. Now, to skip through the night, what I can do is make myself a little bed, but I'm going to need a lot of dry grass for that. So now that I have my fire here as a beacon and my torch as a light, I can put that in my offhand. Let's get harvesting. Rearrange my inventory a little bit here. Here we go. I want more inventory space, but it's nighttime, so we're gonna skip the night. I think it's 8 dry grass makes a hay bale. So 3 hay bales makes a hay bed, and a hay bed can go right here, and we can skip the night. It's almost 9 p.m. Now, in a hay bed, you can only sleep for 7 hours. When I upgrade my bed, I'll get another 1.5 hours extra. Apparently my bed spawned me right on top of my fire. Okay. And I am very hungry right now. And I only have 12 berries and 5 rye grain. And it's 3 a.m. Which means it's still dark, even though I slept. That doesn't make any sense. I should have slept longer, right? Wait, that wasn't 7 hours. Was that 7 hours? Wow, okay. Just like in real life. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to wait a little while. At least there's no monsters, so I can pretty freely walk around. The issue is that it's just really dark. I mean, yeah, it's kind of spooky. It's kind of spooky how dark it is. Now, I'm checking these little claystone bits because they might be copper or some other kind of metal or coal, like those coal bits that I found earlier. And if I see anything like that, I really gotta mark it down on my map so I can come back and get it later. What else do I need? I need reeds. I should make another knife really quick before my knife breaks. So, I mean, all of these little voxels might look intimidating at first, and there is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's actually pretty, you get used to it pretty fast, and it becomes pretty efficient. It shows you exactly which blocks you need to get rid of, and or which voxels you need to get rid of, and you just click on them. You can also hold your click button down, and that'll, just get rid of them all at once. Or not all at once, but you can just sort of like drag over the shape, and it'll get rid of all the voxels as you hold your click button down. Oh, a sundial. I don't know what to mark this sundial as. I guess I won't. I don't really know what I can use it for. Let's get this trader's name. Woo! And then I'll take care of all these reads. Hello, Mouse? Your name is Mouse? Is that randomly generated or that's fun? Whoa, Mouse, you are rich. Can I take these? Aw. These gears are the currency in this world, these rusty gears. So I gotta find some of my own. You just you just stand in the corner laughing to yourself. This guy didn't even look at me when I came into his shop here. Hey, what a weirdo. Okay, and the sun is finally coming up a little bit. So I gotta get more reeds. It's gonna take a while. I need 40 reeds to max out my inventory with the hand baskets. I'm gonna get to it. And I'll get back to you when I have maxed my inventory. All right, full inventory. Oh yeah, that didn't take too much. I have 43 cattail roots. I'm gonna go ahead and get an even 50. Okay, 50 cattail roots. So now that I have my inventory maxed out and I have my axe and my knife and my cattails and my basic 3 ingredients that I need for crafting, my next priority is going to be to find a spot to settle down and start my farm and start the next phase of progression. So I kind of know where I want to settle down. I think it's kind of over in this area, this these 4 hills right here. I think I settled down in this one or maybe this one before. One of them has sort of an exposed cave, and it's just a really good spot. It's an open plain with lots of crops, wild crops growing in it, and berries for early game food, some animals around that I can hunt, and it's just a very simple, easy area to be in with, as far as I remember, calm rift activity. Now that could have changed because rift activity does just sort of change over time, but I want the calmest rift activity. I definitely don't want the gear in on top of my hotbar to be rotating counterclockwise at all. We want to see that not moving a bit. Now, I have all this wood, these pine logs. I can't really do anything with them right now. All I can really do with them is make firewood, and I don't need firewood right now. I will need it when we get settled down. But I'm basically just going to travel over here. It's not going to take too long, but I will get back to you once we arrive. Ooh, wait, there's fish here. Let me make a spear and start hunting some fish. Get our first little bit of meat. I gotta make sure that I'm not holding my torch when I go into this water. When I go deep down into the water, the torch would go out. Alright, where are these fish at? Where did they go? Did they despawn? Did the fish despawn? What happened to the fish? Oh, okay, I guess they're gone. I didn't know that could happen. Where did those fish go? They can just straight up like despawn out of a pool like this? Oh, there you are. All right, fish. That was a salmon? Oh, it didn't even have any meat. Well, that was lame. All right, now let's go. Flax. Flax is a good important crop because you can get twine from flax, from which you can make cloth. And of course you can also eat it. So I'm gonna take these. Did I get the seeds? I did. Grain is fresh for a really long time. It stays fresh for a really long time. So I'm just gonna try to eat the berries first because they only last hours or days. Oh yeah, I got some flax fibers. 4 of them can be turned into a twine. And then I think 4 of those can be turned into a piece of cloth, which I'm going to need to make my first bed. Oh, here it is. Wait, yeah, this is the spot. Oh yeah. This was my little cave. Actually, I'm not gonna settle like in the cave. Instead, I'm gonna settle in this hillside, or at the very least, I'm gonna put my cellar here. And yeah, I do have to build a cellar to store my food, or it'll go bad so quickly that it's like that gathering food is gonna be a constant task. So I do need to think about food storage. First of all, I'm gonna clear this stuff out. Get rid of these bushes. And I will use the cave as storage and sort of the entrance of it as like a work area. But I'm going to be sleeping in that hill right there. Where's the closest water? Is this the closest water? Or do I want to be over here? I think in one of these little ponds over here, there's some high fertility soil, which is going to be really important for planting and growing crops. It's going to be very important for growing crops. And I'm just going to go ahead and plop these bushes over here. Random little spots. I don't need them to be pretty. I think they're pretty just like that. They're just naturally growing. And we need to plant this birch seed somewhere to get a tree growing. Trees take a long time to grow. I'll just plant that. Anytime I get a birch seed or a tree seed, I'll just plant it somewhere in this area. And eventually we're going to have plenty of trees close by. For now, I'm probably going to have to go over there to plant. Yeah, let's go over there and start planting the cattail roots at least. Oh, and here's some spelt. This is the 3rd type of grain. There's flax, rye, and spelt. So that's spelt. Whoa, look at all these cattails. Okay. So I can plant my cattails in this shallow water to make it a little bit easier to harvest. Get rid of the seaweeds. And let's start planting these 50 cattails. All right, now those are gonna take a really, really long time to grow. There's these over here if I want more. Oh yeah, and here it is, the high fertility soil. So it looks like the types of soil and stuff actually do spawn fish. They do spawn pretty much in the same spots, as long as the seed is the same. So I have played on this seed before, like I said, so there's some things that I kind of know where they are. And this high fertility soil is going to be super, super good for the early game. There's some rye growing here. I don't think there was rye here before. And I gotta make a shovel, dig this stuff up, maybe make a hoe as well, and get my farm started before I've even placed my bed. This is awesome. Okay, so we're gonna make a shovel, and we're gonna make a hoe. And when you're napping like this, you only have to actually delete the border around the tool, and the rest of it will just disappear. And chunks will kind of fall off as they become disconnected from the hole. I'm going to take this high fertility soil. I'm going to dig all of this up. I'm going to count it. I'm going to see how many that I get. And then I'm going to dig the same amount of low fertility soil off of the shoreline and replace this with that. Oh, see, I took my torch underwater and it went out. That's okay, I can relight it. Okay, how many did I get? 28. Okay, so I'm gonna take this shoreline. I'm gonna get rid of this bone. I don't need bones yet. That would just sort of take up a bunch of inventory space. So I'm gonna get rid of that for now. I'm gonna dig out 28 of these now. 2, 3, 4, 5. The water does not automatically correct itself like it would in Minecraft. So that's why I'm gonna refill these with my farming soil. Let's see, how many do I have now? 16. Okay. So let's make this a layer deeper. Okay. Now once this stuff grows grass on it, it's going to be really difficult to tell the difference between it and the regular soil. But luckily we do have the tooltip at the top, which lets us know what block we're looking at. When I'm just running around, it's a little bit easy to like miss that kind of stuff. But here, if I need to look for my high fertility soil, I can just sort of use that feature. Now, how many seeds do I have? I have 8, 9. I have 9 seeds. Okay. We're just gonna get all of these planted then. Spelt, flax, and rye. All right, and yeah, there we go. Got that started. Replace this stuff over here in case I want to plant cattails on it later. You can see that block also didn't get rid of the source block of water here. I believe source blocks of water are like straight up permanent. You can put a block on top of them, but if you dig that block out later, it'll just come back. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's the case. All right, so here's the beginnings of my little farm. You can see all the stats. Got 75% moisture, growth speed 97%. Tells you the nutrient level as well. Nutrient levels are kind of important. We're going to be rotating crops. That's something that I'm going to have to learn as well. And I'm just going to leave my hoe right here, rested against this hillside. Yeah, there we go. Now let's head back. How's the sun? What time is it? It's only 2 p.m. We got plenty of time. Ooh, here's some turnips. Oh, wait, no, these are onions. Yeah, okay, now we can go plant some onions. Awesome. So now that we're here, Let's go ahead and mark this hillside down as home. Home. There it is. And I have a shovel here, so I'm gonna go ahead and start digging out this hillside and shape it a little bit. Do a little bit of landscaping. This hillside, or this hill right here, is gonna be eventually my cellar. All right. So I've built here basically the same thing I built the first time I played on this seed. Just a little hole in this hill. This is going to be all I need to store a whole bunch of food and my bed. Hello everyone, this is Foog from the future. I had to cut that video in half because the recording session went on pretty long. But there is more to come. If you're interested in seeing it, stay tuned, like the video, sub to the channel. You might notice my mic quality sounds a little bit better in this outro, and I promise it's gonna get better. I was using a pretty cheap mic, whatever was available to me at the time, but I recently purchased a better one. So I hope it's not too unbearable. I did my best to edit around the terrible audio quality. But aside from that, if you're enjoying, definitely sub to the channel because there is more to come. You can see behind me several improvements have been made. There's so much more to do in this game and so much more to see and to discover and explore, and I'm very eager to be playing it. So if that's interesting to you, stay tuned. And thank you so much for watching and have a peaceful day.